go. Stream 50 minutes ago. The Alberta government announces launch of fall referendum website.
Well, good afternoon, everyone.
Oh, swaggered. Type shit for real. No cap. Oh, shit. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. All right, let's find out about this.
Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to be here
Fall
with the Minister of
referendum
Justice
bullshit.
and Attorney General Mickey Amory to share an update on our work to manage Alberta's population growth and more sustainably and to strengthen our sovereignty.
AI,
Canada.
get wrecked, bitch.
As you know, back in February, Alberta's government announced that a referendum will be held in October, seeking Albertans' input on 9 questions concerning Alberta's future. Some of the questions are directly related to immigration and the supports available to new Albertans. The rest of the questions seek direction on working with other like-minded provinces to amend Canada's constitution.
You know, it's so sick that it's in like sick not isn't cool, but sick is fucking disgusting. That this premier made a whole campaign, spent millions, if not $1 billion, getting people to come over and live in Alberta, only to turn around and be like, you know what? We have too many people coming to Alberta. I'm sorry. Excuse me. You were the one bitching and moaning and crying that Alberta needed people to continue on with this shit. And now you're like, yeah, you know what? Nah, second thought, it's too many people. It's just too many. Like, fuck off. Why did you do the campaign? Did you not know that this was gonna be a result of asking people to come here and work? It was gonna be that you were gonna, oh my god, guess what? Have people come here and fucking work? Jesus.
In our view, a referendum is the purest and most direct form of democracy, and it's the most appropriate way for...
Oh, lol. It's the most and pure direct form of democracy, but we're not gonna listen to it. You. Absolutely fuck you. That's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
To seek the input that we need to act on these important issues. We recognize how consequential these questions are, and we want to make sure that every elector in Alberta has the time needed to consider their vote and get the facts that they need to make an informed decision on the ballot at the ballot box come October. So today I am happy to announce the launch of a new website that will serve as the central source of information on the upcoming referendum.
I can only imagine that.
Alberta Referendum 2026.ca provides a detailed, plain language explanation of each of the 9 questions, as well as facts and background information on how our province got to this point.
Oh, I'm sure they're facts,
The website cuts through the technical and constitutional language and delivers the fact in an accessible and relatable way. The referendum will be run by Elections Alberta, just like any provincial election. The website we are launching today will include information on when the referendum will take place and how the results will impact our province. Importantly, the website makes it clear what this referendum is and what it isn't. We want Albertans to understand what a yes vote means and the actions our government will take as a result. I've said it before and I'll say it again. My job as Premier of Alberta is to give Albertans hope that Canada can work, because I understand why so many Albertans are incredibly frustrated. This frustration has been building for a long time. Let me put it like this. Since 2015, our province has faced several natural market-driven economic downturns, along with a prolonged artificial one imposed by the federal government under Justin Trudeau.
What artificial one imposed by
Albertans
Justin Trudeau?
will not forget that anytime.
Does she mean lockdowns? Does she mean lockdowns with COVID? Man, what is it with conservatives and like being okay with a ton of other people dying? That's crazy to me. I don't know how you could be pro-life and also pro-death at the same time, but it is actually pretty impressive. I don't know if that's what she's referring to, but
Soon. There are many of our province who feel that the federal government has overstepped its constitutional authority in areas of provincial jurisdiction, areas of natural resources, the environment, infrastructure, healthcare, and social services. Another concern.
You know, if that's the case, okay, I'm cool not funding any of those things anymore then from the federal government type stuff. If you don't think because I don't know, you can't have it both ways. You can't receive all the funding without any stipulations from stuff like that would be just crazy to think that you can just hand out money willy-nilly and there shouldn't be stipulations attached to it.
That emerged in the last 5 years is the federal government's increasingly unsustainable approach to managing immigration, which is placing real pressure on our province. Now, let's be clear about this. Alberta is no stranger to population growth, and welcoming newcomers has been part of our story since the very beginning. In the past, opportunities in the labor market and economic prosperity have been the primary drivers of our population growth, and that meant our system could sustain new arrivals and their families. This time around, it's...
Also, who the fuck is this goober? Who the fuck is this goober standing beside her? I don't know who this is, but he's looking very gooberish.
Different. Affordability and access to key services have factored into people's decisions, placing added strain on housing, healthcare, courtrooms, and our classrooms, resulting in many thousands more new arrivals than our current system can handle.
The other thing I want to point out is if the influx of immigrants is causing your systems to be overwhelmed, what do you think would have happened if everybody would have had a bunch of kids? You want people to have kids, you want, because like realistically, without immigration, wouldn't our population be having more of a decline than we're already experiencing? Because if you want people to have kids and the people that are coming in, the system can't already handle. I can understand that, like, you could say, oh, our system was running fine before, and if we had kids, it takes time for those kids to grow up, and we could scale services and immigrants moving in. But then my question is, we're like, well, shit, was our service, like, that was the thing about hospitals, where they were like, oh, hospitals, yeah, they do really well when they operate at peak capacity. Do they? Do they run better when they operate at peak capacity? Because that sounds pretty fucking crazy. That would be like saying, oh, my car runs better when I redline it up to 6,000 RPMs each time. That's what makes the car run really good. It likes to run that fast. It likes to run that hard. Oh, ideally you would have space for, you know, natural disasters, when bad things happen, unexpected incidents. Like, there should be a little bit of a buffer, you know? It's probably not good if your healthcare system is operating at 90% and a major catastrophe happens and now it's operating at 150%, right? That's probably not good. Yeah, it's just fucking wild.
Since 2021, an additional 600,000 people now call Alberta home. That's like adding half the size of Edmonton or Calgary in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I never believed that it operated better at peak when it was at peak capacity. That's just crazy. Okay, so 600,000. Alberta population 26. 5 million. Let's minus that 600,000 because she's saying that came in. Oh, not a calendar. That's not how I crunch numbers. I want a calculator. I thought was how it is. Okay. So 4,448,000. Okay. Divided by 600,000. So that'd be, what would that be? No, hang on. 600 divided by 4,448,151. Times 100. So that'd be a 13.5% year growth. 1975 population. Why 19 population growth? Okay, so, okay, we need a pencil. We need to write this down. Okay, so 1975. 1974, we had 1,754,621, and we had an increase in that year of 54,000 people. Okay. Just crunching numbers. We like numbers here. Okay, so that'd be 54,000. I'm pretty sure that's gonna be a lot less. 1,754,621. It's a lot smaller. Only 3% growth. Okay. What about the 80s? Let's do 1980. Let's go up 5 years. Okay. So in our peak oil boom, will be 25,000 in 1/4. Okay, so this is from, oh, this is an archive. The quarterly demographics of 2005. In the last quarter of 2005, Canada's population grew by 44,000, reaching 32 million. The increase in population growth was mainly due to the rise in the number of immigrants arriving to Canada, which raised 2005 fourth quarter net immigration, international immigration, up 23,000 to 14,000 for previous years. At a provincial level, Alberta had the largest population increase. Alberta's population growth rate, estimated at 0.76%, was more than 5 times greater than the Canadian national average. In absolute numbers, Canada's growth was the highest ever attained in a fourth quarter. Only during the oil boom 1979 to 1980. Alberta's performance was mainly due to a strong increase in net provincial migration. Okay, so no, this would probably look like right now. Man, really? Do we have, like, that is definitely a bit. Because even if you broke that, because even if that's just a quarter, can't really break that over the 4.6. What did we at? We were at said 13. Wait, I don't even actually I'm going off her numbers. I don't even know if that's correct. Population growth. Alberta 25. Let's do 2024. 6. It's not even fucking true. Bro, what did she say? Hang on.
It's blown. Since 2021, an additional 600,000 people now call Alberta home.
Oh, that's actually not that bad. Since 2021? So in 7 years? Well, I thought this was just for a year. You goddamn. Maybe if we split that up over 7 years, that's 85,000 per year. It's still a large jump, but okay. Even then, I don't even actually believe her. She did. She fucking hated me real good. Province expect to grow at an average by 1.5 annually over the next couple of decades. Even was interprovincial. How much was interprovincial? Holy fuck! I might have just gotten baited so fucking hard now. We're not even like we're supposed to outpace other fucking provinces. Annual growth in Alberta, this is from BMO, or ATB, sorry. Annual growth in Alberta will average 1.5 over the next projected period compared to 0.6% nationally. As such, the M2 scenario assumes a return to more typical growth pattern in Alberta rather than spikes seen in 2023 and 2024, when the number of non-permanent residents spiked and the net gains from interprovincial migration were particularly strong. I'd like to know The net gain from the international is projected to be about a count of half, 52.1% of Alberta's population growth out of 2050, with the net and provincial migration accounting for 29.4, and a natural increase, birth less death, accounting for the remaining 18.5. So really, the weakest part is us having kids. Alberta's strong growth between now and 2050 is due to ongoing gains from natural increase. The only other province that sees a positive natural increase over the projected period are Saskatchewan and Manitoba. So does that mean if people aren't having kids, we'd actually be losing people? Man, we've seen some spikes. 1953, we hooked her, man. You can see 1950 at a population of 925,000. And then by 1980, so 30 years, I guess that'd be probably that baby boom. We basically doubled in size in 30 years. And then we basically doubled in size again since 1990. So another roughly 30 years. Another roughly 30, actually a little bit more, 36 years. So we're doubling every 30 years, which seems to be on trend since the 1950s. Okay. I was baited. Jabaited. You got me. You fucking got me.
In a big hole in our provincial budget and driven up the cost to taxpayers.
Which realistically it shouldn't have, because if a lot of these people are coming to work and there's jobs for them, it actually should help you. Or you can take the really uncomfortable stance that taxes and the way we have our government generating revenue is not in line with our populations, which I think is like, ooh, got the hiccups. I'm so fucked up. I got the hiccups. Which actually probably is the case.
And it's made it difficult for young people to find jobs. In 2025, the youth unemployment rate in Alberta was 15.6%, a clear sign that youth across the province are struggling to find work. Meanwhile, many employers...
Yeah, I don't know if that's so much there's no jobs as all the ways to find jobs are fucking trash, and some of those young people are kind of shitty applicants nowadays. But yes, go on, Queen.
First look to temporary workers to fill in.
It's clearly the brown people that are wrecking it all.
Our government has been monitoring these trends. We knew it was time to act, and we wanted a clear picture of how Albertans felt to inform our actions.
No, you don't.
That's why we launched the Alberta Next panel last summer, a widespread series of engagements aimed at gathering grassroots feedback on the biggest issues facing our province. What we heard in sessions all around the province... Can't see me right now, but I'm doing sure you did jabroni look. Albertans wanted us to build an immigration system that is sustainable. And they also wanted you to leave the daylight savings time alone within the United Canada. And that's exactly what we intend to deliver. But these are big changes we're considering. For a province like ours, whose entire story has been shaped by sustainable immigration, this would be a very different way of doing things. Different enough, in fact, that we believe we need a democratic mandate to move forward. A strong mandate through these referendum questions will give our government the license we need to make legislative changes reflecting the democratic will of Albertans and to work with like-minded provinces towards constitutional reforms. Albertans will have a direct say on how the province should ensure our social services remain accessible for Albertans and which constitutional changes we should pursue to advance Alberta's sovereignty within a united Canada. Albertans will have the final say. And the website we're launching today...
So gross, man. It's just so disgusting, the language used and then the actions that go alongside it. Obviously, me and Zen have argued the hypocritical points and shit like this, but this is the shit that really bothers me when it comes to people not doing what they say. And it's people like this that are the biggest hypocrites and are leading to the most destruction within our society. Toilet defeated. Do that with Smith. Just flush her down the toilet.
will help them to make up their own minds about the path that they wish us to take.
Fuck, I don't know if I can
But I do want to be clear
about
the result our government is hoping for in October. We want a strong turnout. We want voters at the ballot box who have considered the facts carefully, and we want a strong mandate to deliver change for Albertans. And with that, I'm happy to take questions. Our Minister of Justice and Attorney General is here as well.
Oh, Jesus, that's our Minister of Justice? Holy fuck, jabroni.
We will perfect. We'll go into our QA. Of course, one question, one follow-up, and please state your name and outlet before asking your question. We'll start off here in the room. Raise your hands. We'll go to Catherine, and then we'll go to Lisa.
Okay, sure. So, Catherine Kowski, All Alberta. So, when you say strong mandate, you want that good voter turnout. If it's close at a low voter turnout, how does that affect the actions your government takes as a result?
Well, I think we'll have some good guidance to go by. We got a 62%.
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you. That's a soft way of saying if the voter turnout's low and we don't get the answer we want, we're just going to do it anyway. We're just going to do it. We'll use it as a guideline instead of a referendum. Fuck you. You just went on this big old spiel about how important it is to listen to referendums because they're the democratic will of the people. And then you go into like, well, we'll see how that turns out. If it's not enough turnout, we'll just do kind of what we want. Fuck you. Fuck gross. Absolutely disgusting.
Well, on our equalization referendum, when that was put forward, although it was at a municipal election, which was relatively lower voter turnout, we tend to get somewhere in the order of 60 to 65% voter turnout in a provincial election. It's a little bit higher in a federal election. So we would like to have the majority of those who can vote to come out, and we'd like a majority mandate from that voter turnout.
And for my second question, it's more of a technical question following up on a question that was asked.
How does your head fit so far up your ass each day?
So on the
it's a technical question.
Supreme Court of Canada decision, you're still waiting. It was an oral decision. You're waiting to see the written reasons and how that technically affects, if at all, Alberta's electoral boundaries process. So how does that impact the timeline of the committee's work and when the new maps will be ready? And
yeah, well, look, it's not going to impact the timelines of the new advisory panel and the work that they intend to do.
We're just going to do whatever we want, so it doesn't matter.
Very much from Alberta's. I want to make that clear. In Quebec, the applicable law provides that a final report of the Boundaries Commission in that province comes into effect automatically on the without further intervention from the legislature. Now, here in Alberta, we have a much different process. The Boundary Commission here produces a final report, which is then presented to the legislature, of course. If the legislature decides to approve the final report, then it must pass a separate law to implement the final report. But there are also additional options, of course. There's a robust debate process that happens here in Alberta, along with the option for...
I just realized we need to become an NDP propaganda slot machine so that we don't have to deal with these UCP fuckers anymore. I might have to do it. I'm going to have to sit down and plan. Me and Twerpy are going to come up with a plan. She's my propagandalist, and we're going to come up with something. Become an NDP hog rider slot machine. I'm ready. I'm fucking ready.
Amendments to come to
They've radicalized me.
Well, and so the factual context of what we're looking at when it comes to Quebec's legislation and Alberta's legislation is very different.
Correct. And then we'll go to Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa Johnson with Canadian Press. This is for the Premier. A lot of the 9 referendum.
Okay, well, I'm here to answer questions today. Yeah, you know, I definitely accidentally tried to cut off a raccoon's penis, and you know, the kids were in the car, they were fine, and I just really needed it as a trophy. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't any, you know, I wouldn't do it if it was a deer, but I really have a thing for raccoons, so I knew I had to get out and chop off its penis.
Questions that we saw in February were kind of ambiguous in terms of the details, right? Like, we didn't know what is a reasonable fee for non-permanent residents, that kind of thing. And forgive me, I haven't had a chance to look at the website, so I don't know if this stuff is addressed in detail there. But I'm wondering if you can kind of explain how that is a different policy or a policy that moves beyond
mad respect if she was just if the question was like, can you explain? She's just like, no.
What we saw in the Immigration Oversight Act, which, like, there's one question, do you support Alberta taking increased control over immigration, et cetera, et cetera. And the Immigration Oversight Act did take more control, provincial control over immigration. So can you talk about how the referendum question, the policy involved there might go beyond that specific legislation?
Sure. There's a few things I'd say. So when we look at the Canada-Quebec Act from 1991, so that's the agreement where Quebec has control over their economic migration, they have an agreement to bring in migrants through the whole process from work permit to permanent status, and then the federal government determines citizenship. So that is the kind of model that we would be looking at if we get a mandate from the people. That's one part. The other is that we believe that we should return to what guest workers were meant to do. Guest workers were meant to provide additional revenue for the province, and they were also meant to fill gaps that couldn't be filled by Alberta workers or Canadian workers. And I think we've gotten quite a far way from that kind of approach, especially when we look at the dollars. We did a rough calculation of what guest workers and their families cost our system, and it's about a minimum of $400 million when we look at ER and doctor visits as well as surgeries. There were 35,000 visits in the 2024.
What do tourists cost our system each fucking year? Because, cool, they cost 400 million. What benefit do they bring to the province, you dillhole? How much do tourists cost Canada each year? Actually, we should do Alberta. Wonder if that stat's even a bit. No, that's spent. I want to know what they're costing us. Must be a cost to having tourists here. The big thing too is tourists and stuff are gonna use infrastructure and things like that. I would be yeah, because my guess is like who cares if they're costing us $400 million if the economic boom from them is like 3 billion, right? Yeah, keep taking about. Well, guest workers are often criticized for using services. They are part of the labor force and keeps the economy running. Tourists provide a quick cash injection, but they often leave behind a hidden bill for infrastructure and emergency services that a local government must foot long after the visitor has flown home. So, like, no offense, go fuck yourself, Danielle Smith. How dare you just talk about the cost of this without actually discussing what they give to the economy?
For a year that we looked at, that may be higher in 2025. We have 45,544 children of temporary workers who are in our education system. That's another 600 million. Social services like childcare subsidy, Alberta Child and Family Benefits, student aid, we estimate will cost $100 million for temporary residents.
Hey, temporary residents are applying for student aid? Really? Can a temporary foreign workers kid apply for financial aid, Alberta? Holy fuck, the propaganda machine is inside the house. Children of temporary foreign workers generally cannot apply for Alberta student aid loans or grants because they're not Canadian citizens. Permanent residents are protected persons, which are a requirement for funding. However, they may be eligible for school-level funding, K-12, depending on their parents' work permit, and they may apply for private or university-specific scholarships. So no, they're not applying for student aid. Holy shit. This is the slop. This is the slop right here. I can feel it. My blood pressure is fucking. The Alberta politics will be the death of me.
So we're well over $1 billion in cost, and yet in that same year, those same temporary workers generated $150 million in tax revenue, and that's not how it's supposed to work. We're actually supposed to generate.
No. Yeah. Oh. It's okay. It's okay. We're all good. It's okay. We're okay. We're okay. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Wait a. If you think that we are bringing people into this country to work, jobs, and all the benefit we're getting, and we're losing $250 million for all the people we have within our economy working, you're an absolute moron. You have absolutely like it's a fucking number. What? There's a really good book. It's called Lying with Statistics. And in that book, it goes over how you can torture the out of numbers to ensure that you make it say what you want to say. Because the only thing is like, okay, so maybe their income tax bill was $150 million, right? But let's not talk about the gas tax they paid. Let's not talk about property taxes they might have paid. Let's not talk about sales tax that they would have paid, which, by the way, Alberta doesn't have, so you're missing out on right there. If you want to get really xenophobic, you could say that, you know, temporary foreign workers should have a different GST amount applied to them. Okay, we can get really weird with that one. You're talking about money being spent within your economy that might not otherwise be spent there. Like, it wouldn't even make sense. Temporary foreign workers and interprovincial employees, IPEs, have provided significant economic benefits to Alberta, with income earned by these workers in the province growing from $1.2 billion in 2002 to a peak $7.6 billion in 2014, before settling to a roughly $4.4 billion in 2016. Between 2002 and 2016, these workers earned a total of $57.4 billion while working in Alberta, contributing heavily to the energy services and construction. Dollar-wise, let's say 2022. I think the other thing that would make, like, I'd be really curious, because, like, the thing is, too, is these temporary foreign workers, they're going to make less than the average Canadian doing these jobs. People seem to want to have their cake and eat it, too. They want everybody to have high-paying jobs, but they want things to be cheap. But they also want things to be well, but they want things to be cheap. But, you know, it feels like you want it all, too, without any of the maybe uncomfortable things. Now, I can't find a specific thing, but I heavily doubt we were losing money for each person here. I just do not believe that for a second. By 2022, nearly 49% of all new economic immigrants in Canada were former temporary foreign workers, contributing to the long-term tax base and economic. Yeah, I don't believe it works.
More revenue than the cost associated with supporting those workers. So that's why we're looking at how they would pay for a healthcare premium as well as ensuring that maybe they leave their kids at home until they're prepared to make a permanent commitment to Canada and be a permanent taxpayer. If you're a temporary worker, then you're here temporarily. If you're a guest worker, you're here as a guest. If you're a student, you're here, once again, temporarily. You shouldn't be coming to Canada expecting that you're going to be able to take more taxpayer-funded support.
Why would you? Yeah, I think the real part is like people will come here, get an education, work really hard, and then it's kind of like, nah, get out of here. We don't need you. Why would you come? I can't believe you try to come and take taxpayer. Like everybody's so fucking paranoid. You know what? I love weed, but maybe weed was a bad idea. Maybe people are just smoking way too much of it or way too fucking paranoid. Because boy, everybody's so concerned with what everybody else is getting when it comes to taxpayer money. Holy shit. It is fucking. I just never heard the conversation so much. Like, I got these. So it's like, oh, okay, like, you know, it's just not how it works. I don't know. I think for a lot of people, the way too, though, is the way the money works is a little antiquated when the
reports than you're generating in revenue. So that's another area that we're looking at, is how do we equalize those things? And then there's another one about asking for a proof of citizenship during votes as well. And so those are kind of the main things that we would be looking at, and all of that is described on the website.
And show of hands again.
Can I get a follow-up?
Oh, sure. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, quick follow-up on that. So you mentioned the Alberta Next panel.
Yeah.
And you also said you believe that you need a democratic mandate to move forward with these policies. But when you started the Alberta Next panel, you also said we were hoping to get referendum questions out of it. Sometime, I think it was in Grand Prairie, you said, well, we might move ahead with some of these things anyway. We've heard enough on some of these issues. So is there a scenario in which you can foresee moving ahead on some of these things before the October referendum? Or are we in a freeze?
I think what you're seeing with Bill 26, part of that is trying to get a handle on who is hiring temporary workers. I mean, that's really that came more from some of the feedback that we got from our various cultural communities, that they feel that there isn't enough enforcement when somebody has advertised a job. If they don't live up to those commitments, there hasn't been an enforcement mechanism that is satisfactory to make sure that they are paying the right fee, that the job is what it said it is. So we're trying to balance both sides.
I will say, I agree. There are not enough things. And I have seen people that have taken advantage of temporary foreign workers, and it's fucking disgusting. Particularly when they bring them over and then have them rent out places that the owner owns. So you'll be like, yeah, come work for me. You'll get paid this much. Oh, but by the way, you owe me fucking rent. And by the way, if you don't work for me, I'm kicking you out on your ass, and away goes your fucking visa and back to wherever the fuck you have. And I have audibly heard people threaten it to these workers that was exactly what they were going to do. It's fucking disgusting. And I think it's pretty fucked up that people can do this shit for that long, or, you know, advertise a job for like $30 an hour and go, whoop, nobody's applying. We're going to bring in temporary workers. Like, don't get me wrong. The system is pretty fucked, but I don't think that's fair to lay at the feet of temporary foreign workers when they're coming over to try and fulfill jobs that are being offered to them. I think that's at the feet of the fucking employers, but the fact we make it all about the people coming over and none about the people actually doing the fucking garbage you're posting and not hiring Canadians and shit like that, I think is ultimately fucking disgusting. I think we need better systems in place. I don't know what those systems look like, but there need to be better systems in place that if you are hiring a temporary foreign worker, it is because you cannot find somebody to fill the role, you know, from a Canadian. That's fine. I'm cool with that. But at the same time, I don't know why the fuck we're shitting on the immigrants for just coming to work. Like, I don't understand it.
If you are bringing temporary workers in, then they should be getting the job that they bargained for. So we have to make sure that immigration consultants are appropriately explaining what the job is, and that the workers who are hiring, or the businesses that are hiring them, are delivering on what they promised as well. So that's one part of it. When I said that there's some things that we wouldn't move forward on, like, for instance, there wasn't an appetite for personal income tax taking that over. There wasn't an appetite to put forward the motion on Alberta pension plan, I think because people just don't know enough about what that would mean. So those are ones that you'll see are not on. We are proceeding with developing our sheriff police service. We determined, 80% of Albertans are already governed by municipal forces.
Hang on, wasn't there a referendum with the fucking police force too? Man, if ever there was a time to wonder what the democratic will of your people was, it'd be whether or not you're creating a new police force for them.
This really was an issue that affects 20% of the population, so it needed a bit of a different approach, and we're doing an opt-in approach. So those who want to have a different police service is going to be able to. So that's what I meant when I said that when we did our consultation, we heard the recommendations. Not everything is suitable for a province-wide referendum, but we think these ones are.
But to be clear, you're ruling out pursuing any of these policies until after the
Correct. I want to make sure that we've got a mandate from Albertans, because it is a departure from what we've done in the past.
We'll go to Will, then Sarah, and then hopefully Emmanuel after that.
Hi, Will Vassar with the Western Standard. This kind of builds off Lisa's question, but a lot of these questions on the referendum, especially immigration, are a lot of what you guys have been advocating for throughout this term for you guys. And so my question would be, if Albertans come back and they vote no, especially on your immigration questions, how would that affect or adapt your guys' next year in office ahead of the 2027 election?
Well, I think people need to understand that guest workers are costing more than they're generating in revenue.
No,
and we want to
bullshit.
be able to balance that, not only by having fewer temporary foreign workers so that young people and Albertans have jobs first, but also so that we can do that balance. So we're going to be advocating.
Didn't answer the question at all, but okay.
Government-sponsored questions. So I'm not going to just be a bystander in this. We're going to be out actively persuading the public that this is the direction we want to.
Whoa, excuse me? You're going to be out there actively persuading the Albertans to vote a certain way? Excuse me? Excuse me? No, you better fucking not be. You better leave your fucking nose. Yeah, that's exactly it. What the fuck is the point then? You should absolutely not be out there persuading Albertans. You should be staying the fuck away from this shit and allowing Albertans to do what they see fit. You say the fuck loud, the quiet part out loud. Holy shit. That's disgusting. This is what I mean. That's what I mean when I say the UCP is absolutely one of the most disgusting governments I've ever seen in Alberta's time, and I truly do mean it.
But we want an endorsement from them, and so I think people need to understand exactly what it is we're asking, and they'll give us direction. But I'm pretty confident from the consultation that we did that there's a high level of support for these. But again, you only get a small number of people who participate in surveys, a small number who participate in polls, a small number that participate in the in-person meetings. Sometimes you just need to have a broader mandate, and that's why we're doing it.
Look at that shot.
I'm anticipating
got it in.
that we will get an endorsement, and then we'll be able to move forward on it. If we don't, then we'll adjust it at that time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Follow up off that, will you accept the will of the majority whatever way these questions go? Or if they don't go the way you guys are hoping, one or two of them, would you still pursue them despite?
Well, I'm of the view that you ask people questions that you want to get the answer to so that you can act on them. And so I'll judge it at that time, but it's also the reason why we put questions that we think.
By the way, that's a really soft way of saying no. That's a soft way of saying I'm going to kind of do what I see fit and the referendum's answer. Because realistically, the answer to that unequivocally, easily should be, I will absolutely support the majority of the people, even if it was something I didn't agree with. Boom. That's the fucking answer. The answer, it's like, no, I'm sorry. That if anything other than the answer I just gave is unequivocally bullshit, and you're going to do whatever you want anyways.
We already have the majority of Albertans on board with, but we'll have to see if that turns out to be the case or not. And it's why we didn't put a certain number of questions.
Listen to that. Listen, she's so snaky with her. So fucking snaky. Well, I already think we have the majority of Albertans, and therefore I'm just trying to get it. In her mind, she is already planting the seeds that the majority of Albertans agree with her, and she just wants to get it in writing. When the reality is it's probably going to be the exact opposite. And it is either then, and because let's face it, if it does come up as it's the exact opposite and people don't want this shit, it's either going to be it was bullshit or they're not going to follow it anyways, because it's so disgusting that she would use that. I feel like I've just used the word disgusting because it's a farce. All of this is a
on the
fucking
ballot
farce.
because it wasn't clear that Albertans wanted to go in that direction. So we think we've done that initial culling of the questions to make sure that we found the ones that are likely to get majority support. But I'm asking them so that I can get a mandate. And if I don't get a mandate, then we'll have to address what we do at that time.
Thank you. We'll go to Sarah and then Emmanuel.
Thank you. Sarah Comodino with Global News.
So you're saying you rigged the questions to get the answer that you wanted. That's the other thing she's saying, is we tortured the fuck out of the questions to get the answer that we are hoping for.
When it comes to the citizen-led initiative questions, is there a deadline for when that can appear? Like, can we expect to see a separation question on this referendum still, or a Forever Canadian question?
I think the deadline would be June 10th, because that's when Corb Lund's coal petition gets its signature requirements. So we have to wait and see whether he has the requisite number of signatures. And then there's a verification process, which I think with Forever Canada was actually quite quick. I think they were able to verify those signatures within 4 weeks. But I think with the signature collection period ending June 10th, by mid-July, we should know whether those signatures are verified. That would kind of be the frame. I don't think there's no new petition that could start now that would be able to get on the ballot. And of course, we're waiting for the result from the courts in May to see because the court has paused the validation of signatures pending their on the APP one, pending the judgment, which we're expecting sometime in May.
Do you expect, because we're talking about voter turnout and getting people to the polls, how do you see this website actually increasing that, getting people out there and getting engaged with these conversations so you have that majority vote outcome?
Well, I suspect what will happen is that there'll be a yes side and a no side on each of these questions.
Wow, really? Really? Will there be? Will there be on a question that asks yes or no? There'll be a yes and no side? That's amazing.
Party groups that are advocating for the reasons for and against these different questions. And
wow,
we'll, of course,
amazing. There's going to be two different parties that come different ways and have different answers for things. That's amazing. Wow, you're so fucking smart, Danielle Smith.
Go online. We'll do some social media. We'll do some advertising. We'll continue to do our town halls, and the work of our MLAs will take place over the course of the coming months. We have a lot of opportunity over the summer with the various festivals and events to talk to people about this. And then once we're back in to the fall, when people start turning their attention back to politics, we're very hopeful that we'll be able to get over 50% voter turnout on these questions.
Thank you. We'll go to Emmanuel, then we'll go to Connor.
So this is a government website. It was, I guess, written and coded by public servants. It was paid for using taxpayer money. How do you justify using taxpayer money to try to convince Albertans to vote a specific way in a referendum to wait it?
Who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck's this guy? Can somebody get him an award? Oh my god, what a great question.
You would prefer, which is a yes.
Yeah, because these are government motions. These are government policies that we.
Never mind. Take back everything I said about her being Machiavellian earlier. She's just actually stupid. She's just so stupid. Hey, we noticed that you're saying that you're using government money to sway Albertans in certain ways that align with you. Well, yeah, of course, this is a public matter. Why wouldn't I use taxpayer money to try and sway Albertans a certain way? Like, are you serious? Holy shit. Oh. Hello, darkness. The rope is looking good again. And while I throw it from the rafters so I leave a letter for my bro, so I can go into the darkness. Oh, I'll have to go for a long walk after this. Preferably around buses. Holy shit. That's fun. Well, we're halfway through this. Yeah, I'm fucked. My blood pressure is sufficiently risen for the... you know what? I enjoyed playing Dollmare more than I enjoyed listening Stuck Up. That's fucking... That's fucking wild. That's fucking wild. I can't get... I don't... Because anything else she said, it just feels like I'm giving, as small as my platform is, airtime to that fucking, and I just can't do it. My blood pressure just can't do it. Not today. I can just feel it. That's just wild to me. All right, guys. Thanks, Ice Beans. Much love. Stay safe, and we'll catch you on the flippity flop. If you enjoyed that video, hit that like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can get the latest videos.